Top Doctor. As you know, today we will be
Thank
talking
you.
about anxiety and how to resolve it. But before we move ahead, can you please tell our audience something about yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me for this session. See, I like to tell you one interesting things. We will have an interaction, and accordingly, we will, communicate to certain message to our audience. Ma'am, who is your best friend?
My best friend,
Yeah?
she's at home right now. But
No. Now I want to tell you, your best friend is not, at your home. Your best friend is always with you. The best friend is called the mind. Okay, ma'am. The best
right,
friend
sir.
is called the mind. See, your best friend is your mind when it is under your control. You got the message.
Right.
And your worst enemy is always also with you once your mind is not under your control, right? Once your mind is not under your control, a lot of stress will come and that will lead to the anxiety. I think I'll define the anxiety beautifully so that a common man can understand what is exactly the anxiety. Various factors when it is not our under control and our mind is not able to cope up with the various situation, the anxiety can or rather the stress can develop so that your pulse rate will be high. You know the pulse rate, no, ma'am?
Right.
It may be above 100 or 120, 140, so that your heart will beat more and your eyes will get red and your breathing will be changed, sometimes trembling of hands, and you will not be able to really, control your mind totally so that the outcome, some sort of burstness or something will be there. So we can define this as stress or anxiety, right? When it is controlled, immediately controlled, this stress, then it is well and good. When it is moved, from stress level to some other level, we can call anxiety. That means if you have developed a little bit of stress today, and that stress is also continued tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Likewise, if it is continued for a long time, it will lead to anxiety. Right? I think
Right, sir. So I got the idea of what you're saying, but how would you
yes.
say that it is impacting on the youth these days?
Youth, you want to, anxiety with the youth or the elders, same sort of reaction will be there in the body, no doubt about that. But as the case of youth, nowadays it is more because earlier in our days, ma'am, see, I want to tell you, see, my mother used to tell me one interesting thing whenever I am playing in the ground, right? Stop, 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 come back to home, right? Whereas now, your mother will be telling a different concept to you. Stop, stop, stop from one particular thing and move away from that. It is nothing but either it may be the computer, social medias, or something like that. So you can understand, ma'am, that the one interesting concept I want to tell you now, the youth is exposed to a technical advantage. It is also a technical advantage, but at our home, at our society, one interesting thing is happening. There is lack of communication inside the society. So an individual is becoming really an individual, not as a society member. You got the point now. So in the family members, if you have four members, right, we cannot define as a family. We can define that four members as four individuals living in the same house. So less communication, right? Technological improvement and more ambitions are also there. You got the point, no? Comparing to our younger days, nowadays, exposed to rather the competition in attaining the goal, right? More fast living is also there. So youth is exposed to more anxiety than we people. There are so many other issues also we can discuss it, but these are all of the main concerns, right? And the
Right.
man will agree that see they are exposed to, I mean, rather the computer or the technology, whereas the computer or the technology cannot love you. It's a media through which love can be expressed, but technology cannot love you. But earlier, in the case of, I mean, the old family, the family members are communicating each other, sharing each other. So, likewise, any issues are coming, it is sorted out then and there itself, whereas now it is there in the mind and it is accumulating and it is leading to so much stress, okay, competition, comparisons, right? And so many other issues and a lack of opportunity for the job, etc., is also contributing stress to the youth.
Right, sir. So you mentioned quite a few factors about how it is causing anxiety among youth. Other than that, is there any such social factors or any other factor which you think can affect youth anxiety wise?
Yes, see, over expectation can also lead family issues, adjustment problem. No, see, people used to say, "Ma'am, one interesting thing." As a psychologist, I want to tell you another interesting thing. Whenever there is an issue, ma'am, your mom will be telling, adjust to the situation. Whereas, as a psychologist, I want to tell you, unless you understand the situation or the circumstances, no adjustment is possible. So
Right, absolutely.
understanding is always important than rather the adjustment. Because when you adjust naturally, with the compulsion only you are going to adjust with the situation or the family, but that will lead to stress and anxiety, especially to the youngsters.
Right. So, is there any way you would suggest that we can treat anxiety? We have talked enough about how it is causing, but can you tell us ways how in which we can treat anxiety?
Yes, one thing is instead of concentrating more on the technological aspect in this side time, we concentrate the family members and exchange our ideas. That is the sharing concept I want to tell you. See, ma'am, I'm also exposed to NCPCR. You know what is meant by NCPCR? I am also one of the, I'm in counselor for NCPCR, and we do counsel for the youngsters a lot. It is observed that when there is a particular problem, they are not able to share. So our main job is nothing but listen and sharing certain emotional aspects, and we are also guiding them in a certain way that so that they can solve this situation. See, you know, psychologist means it is not as though suppose if you have got, I mean, say, liability of 1 lakh, it is not the case of sending 1 lakh to you and I mean, us finding out the problem. Whereas the psychologist concept is nothing but we are changing your inner voice. Got the point? Actually, a lot of inner voice are there, though we express so many other things. I mean, see, in this situation, I mean, exchanging ideas through the sharing, right? through the counseling rather, we use the technical name counseling, we are changing the inner voice or rather the confidence of the person, so that though the problems are there, your attitude toward the problems are changing, so that you are able to overcome the situation. Now, this is not possible in the case of youngsters because they are all individuals. They are all sitting in their own comfortable zone, rather. I mean, doing all these social media activities, computer activities, and they are coming away from the family, right?
Absolutely right.
So they become an individual so that there is no sharing. One thing I want to tell you, during the corona situation, we have made a particular survey because I was acting as a psychologist for various organizations, including for Denmark Police, NPPCR. I told you, no, we are all, I mean, got training also from the NIMHANS, Bangalore, to handle the various situation or rather the problem of the anxious. See, the thing is, it is observed, ma'am, that during the corona situation, the more exchange of words or ideas are shared inside the family, because you cannot go outside. We used to tell a joke, interestingly, more exchange of ideas are communicated inside the family when there is a power cut.
Yes,
Got the
sir.
point now? There is a
Yes,
power cut
right,
because
sir.
you will not be, yeah, you will not be able to see your computer or your TV, and especially, but see, now you cannot control the mobile. Mobile is
Right, sir.
nothing but a cell. Cell can be defined as a jail also. So the youngsters are now behind a bar. It is called the cell. Am I right? So more exchange of, ideas or more communication should be there inside the family. I want to tell you an interesting thing. All the youngsters should communicate in a such a way that so that you can understand exactly the definition of the family. You know, ma'am, the exact definition of the family. I'm asking a counter question to the interviewer instead of interviewer asking me a question. You know exact definition of the family, Tanisha, ma'am.
I,
So if I say something, no, I think a lot of youngsters also will be watching this later.
right.
Tanisha, ma'am, you are supposed to tell this interesting information to your family members, especially to your father and mother. Okay, shall I tell you that exactly the definition so that more rapport, more sharing will come? Tanishi, ma'am, family is nothing but the F is defined as father. Okay,
Right.
A is defined as and father and mother. I love you. That is nothing but family. So when you are going back, say, see, after this interview, communicate to your mom and father, father and mother, I love you. Once that rapport is there, definitely the sharing will be there. Am I right? So that other people also can understand what is exactly the stress created to Tanshi ma'am or see the youngsters so that they will also guide you such a way. And moreover, when you share certain things to a confidential, network or rather the family, lot of the sharing of ideas will be coming, and lot of influence to your mind will be there, that so that your confidence will be high, so that your self-esteem will be high, so that you will be able to really cope up with the stress or
Stress.
anxiety situation.
But sir, as you're saying, I mean, you're saying that parents and children should communicate. But in some family, it is not quite possible. So, is there any message or anything you would like to say to those parents that how they should actually listen to their children? listen to
Yes,
their problems.
definitely. See, in case if the adolescents are not communicating now, it
Yes,
is the duty of the parents to take the initiative and communicate. Am I right? So they should take over the situation as problem solver, and they should take the initiative in solving the problem. But most of the problem, when the adolescents are, not communicating, what the parents also will say, I will also not communicating. No, they will
right.
also show a little bit of egoistic character. But ultimately, the family is going to lose. See, one thing, my dear, the Tansha ma'am, when you are making a failure, right, inside the family, probably this is an important message to, all the youngsters or the parents, right? That is for the, family members. When you make a failure for the cause of a family member, or when you, right, rather adjust with your ego, right? You got the point, no? Ego, right? That is
Yes,
edging the God out from your family is nothing but the ego. Once you are making that compromise, sometimes or all the times, the family is going to win. Am I right? When your father is prepared for a failure, right? Compromising the ego, probably that will lead to the success of the family. So doesn't mean that once the parent or the father is compromising the ego, he is compromising the ego in a such a way that yes, it is for the success of the family, right? So when the shortage of one apple is there, your mom used to say, no, Tanshi, my dear daughter, I don't like the apple. She really likes the apple. But for the
yeah,
sake
but
of
she,
the family, she
yes,
is compromised. That is the real love. Real love always, enhance the communication inside the family. That will also solve so many other issues. Once the
excellent.
love is not there, the communication is not there. So the parents should really show, especially the love towards the adolescents, because their thinking is entirely different comparing to the parents' generation.
Absolutely excellent message.
Yes,
Excellent message from your side. Now, I would
thank
like
you,
to
thank you.
ask you, is there any extent from which medication is required to cure anxiety?
See, the other things are not working like the psychotherapy, right? Counseling, etc. If it is continued for a long time, of course, medical assistance should be there. But as per the WHO, such a people are the rather the people who are having psychiatric psychological issues should be treated by three people. One is a social worker who have done MSW. Other person is a psychologist. We like people, right? And the third one, of course, you can understand they are our colleague psychiatrists. But in India, we found out that the combination of the social worker, psychologists, and psychiatrists are very rare. So, if you can expose the particular person who is having anxiety for a long time, not only in an anxiety, psychiatric issue for a long time, they should be also given medical or the medicine treatment. No doubt about that. because all the psychiatric issue usually start with the stress and anxiety. If it is not stopped there and then itself, then it's a big problem that can lead to some other psychiatrical issue.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Just one last question, sir. Any message you would like to give our audience regarding anxiety?
Yes, a lot of messages, not only one message, a lot of message. Because, ma'am, though I don't admit that I'm an elder guy by age, I'm young in my mind. I move a lot with the youngsters, right, all over the world, because I'm a professor also, work with various colleges. See, the thing is, first thing I want to tell to the youngsters that always maintain a good communication with your family members. And if you have got any particular issue with the family member, you can communicate to the teachers and also with friends who have got the confidence. Otherwise, tension, ma'am, you see, once you are communicating to a friend where you don't have the confidence, naturally, it will be like communicating to all India radio. You got the point, no? That will be spread over. So the communication should, sharing also should be there. And of course, always mingle with the society members. Don't be an individual. And one interesting thing, Tansha ma'am, I want to tell you, I am very happy because of only one concern. I'm not a receiver, I'm a giver always. This is a very interesting thing which I want to communicate to the youngsters. Be a giver, not a receiver. When you are a giver, a lot of happiness will come. And always see that you are planning for tomorrow, right? Planning for tomorrow. I will just complete this planning with an interesting thing so that uh, Tanisha ma'am also not going to forget this concept at all. PPP, PP. Okay, PPP, PP. Got the point? 5 P's. PPP, PP. Proper planning prevents poor performance. This is the message I want to communicate to the youngsters. And have an attitude that if you don't get a way, make a way. Because attitude is going to decide your altitude always. But along with the attitude, also have the gratitude with your society, family members, seniors, and teachers. So with that, Kansha ma'am, I want to tell so many other messages because you know that I'm exposed to a lot of youth all over the world, not only in India, all over the world, because I'm also a professor with various universities outside India. So I want to communicate so many other interesting things, but our time is also limited. But before concluding, since I said about the time, Kansha ma'am, this is the interesting thing I want to communicate. Time is nothing but this investment makes elevation. Time is nothing but TIME. This investment makes elevation. Time is also nothing but this investment makes elimination. So use the time very creatively. It is only money. If you lose the mobile, it's only a mobile. If time is lost, life is lost. With that, I conclude. Thank you, Lord, for a very interesting, interview. I think I also enjoyed Tanisha ma'am for
Thank you, sir, for your
questioning and
wonderful words. I really had a great time, and I hope to see you next time.